Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a card that is one of my favorite card designs I have created so far. And to top it all, I'll be mass producing this. Now for our video today, I will be sharing tips and tricks that I like to use when I am mass producing my cards. Now the holiday season and with Christmas, Halloween, I tend to mass produce a lot where I send all of my Halloween and Christmas and holiday cards to friends and family. So there is a system that I like to follow when I am producing more than say 5 or 6 cards at a time. Now here I created a total of 23 cards. Well, I will be using the CZ Designs Peaceful Tree stamp set by Simon's Stamp. This was part of the STAMPtember release, and I must say this is one of my favorite stamps so far. I love the beautiful foresty look, the sentiments, the font on the sentiments. I even went ahead and purchased the coordinating dies. It has the outline for the trees and also few of the sentiments. But for our card today, since we are mass producing, I like to keep it simple and almost a single layer card. So I will be using only the stamp set. Also, since I'm mass producing, I like to make very less effort on creating each card. So instead of ink blending, I take some color blended cardstocks, and these are some of the pattern papers that I have had in my stash. I don't even know what company this is at this point, but if I find out, I will surely link that down in the description box below. Let's begin with mass producing some beautiful and gorgeous Christmas cards. Now, these pattern papers that I'm using here were 12 by 12 inch panels. I cut them down to be 4 by 5 1/4, and that is one step I like doing in the beginning. I also cut it to be 4 by 5 1/4 because I always like to have slight border around my card front. Now, since we are mass producing, I know that my pattern and layout, everything is going to be same. So that's why I will first stamp my focal point. That is, here is the tree, the foliage, and I will keep the stamp as is, and I will go ahead and stamp this using some VersaFine ONYX black ink, which I feel is a very crisp black ink and would be perfect for this technique or the silhouette stamped image. Now you can see here that I have some kind of painter's tape on the edge of the panel. That is because if you look closely, the stamped image overhangs on both the edges. So I didn't want any of that stamped image to be partially stamped on my pattern paper. Now I was not very happy with the first stamping. So I did go ahead and readjust the stamp. And now we can go on stamping on all of these colorful panels. Now, whenever I'm mass producing cards or I have to create something in bulk, what I like to do is do one step at a time, maybe cutting or stamping. I don't like to create one card and then do the entire same process on the second card, followed by the third and so on. So here I first began by cutting the 12 by 12 inch panel to be 4 by 5 1/4. I had 23 sheets by the end of it. And then is when I decided that I will stamp the focal point. In this case, this is the beautiful silhouette tree line image. Now for big images like these, it is always better to have a stamping tool, especially when you're mass producing, because here you'll see that I have not moved that stamp. All I'm doing is keeping in new paper and just re-inking my stamp with the VersaFine ONYX black ink. I did stamp each of these images twice, and I like to press down the image using either my sleeve, or in this case I'm using the Simon's Stamp microfiber cloth. I like to have an even pressure on the image, and also if you see, double stamping gives a lot crisp and dark image. Now, I did create this card in one of my previous videos. Well, in that case, it was not mass producing. I was just creating one holiday card. But I loved the design so much that I thought, why not mass produce this card? And that's how I reached here. Well, I love this stamp set and I am definitely going to create a lot more. So here's a look at all the fun, beautiful, colorful patterns. Now it's time to stamp our sentiment. Now this stamp set comes with some really beautiful sentiments. The font on this is absolutely stunning. I have used three fonts here. One is Merry Christmas, then I have Sending You Peace This Holiday Season, and Season's Greeting. I wanted three different types of cards so that in case I want to give it as a gift set, I could be able to do that in different colors and different sentiments. I like to use my Simon's Stamp grid transparency sheet to make sure that my sentiment is properly aligned in the proper quadrant. This, I feel, would be a perfect gift set for your family and friends this holiday season. Now, here's a look at the three different sets that I have created. One with the season's greeting, second one with Sending You Peace this holiday season, and the third one is Merry Christmas. I really love the font on that Christmas, and we have so many different colors and patterns. Now, what's a Christmas card without some shine and sparkle? But before we add our splatters, I like to cover the sentiments, and I did die cut the Merry Christmas sentiment using the coordinating die. For the others, I just added strips of paper. Now, for all of these cards, I used white and silver splatters. I love that it gives a very slight, subtle, snowy effect. Now, if you're not someone who likes splatter on your card, you could also add some dazzling gemstones or sequin mix to embellish your card fronts. Well, I can definitely tell you this part of the card making was the messiest. I had ink splatters all over me on my phone, on my camera, and it was everywhere. Well, for the white color background, instead of using the white splatter, I added silver and gold splatter, and it looks amazing. While all that beautiful snowy sparkly splatters dry, let's make some card bases. For the next step, I have some Neenah 110-pound cardstock, which I cut into half at 5.5 inches, and then score each of these panels at the center at 4 1/4 inches. So again, you see, I did each step at a time. I first cut all the panels and then scored them all together, and now I will be folding each of these panels to create a top folding A2 size card base. Be it a landscape card or a portrait design, I usually prefer having a top folding note card over a side folding one. Now that my card bases and my card fronts are ready, all we have to do is assemble these, and we have a beautiful set of Christmas cards ready to go. But before I adhere the card front on these card bases, I like to first stamp my personal stamp, which says Handmade with Love by RP_Shutterbug, which is my Instagram handle, which is also where you'll find a lot more crafty projects with more pictures and also some of the other cards which I don't upload here on YouTube. Again, to stamp these, I like to use my VersaFine ONYX black ink because I feel that gives a very crisp image, and I love how this looks on the back of my cards. Now, once that's all done, it's finally time to assemble these card fronts on the card bases. I was not able to capture the next step. I guess my camera died out at this point, so I was not able to get the clip where I stamped one of those trees on the inside of all of those card bases. And then I added some double-sided adhesive on the back of all of those card fronts. Now, the last and final step here is to adhere these card fronts on the card bases. Well, I did mention in the beginning of the video that I like creating simple cards when I'm mass producing. Well, that's completely different when I'm creating just a single layer card. Now, that also goes for texture and dimension. When I'm mass producing cards, instead of adding sequin mix or gemstones on the card front, I add ink splatters. And instead of foam tape, I keep it simple, almost single layer, by using double-sided tape. That would also make it easier if I plan to mail out a set of these cards to families or friends. Well, that was not the last step. The last step was creating coordinating envelopes where I stamped the same tree that I stamped on the inside of these cards on the envelope using Simon's Stamp Positively Saturated ink in the shade Flannel. I love the light gray shade that it gives. Well, I love how these cards turned out. The colors on these pattern papers are just gorgeous. This was quite a very quick and easy project and took not more than an hour to get everything done, including drying of that watercolor splatters, which was surprisingly really quick. Also, in the beginning, I was not very sure of this white and the next yellow color sky. But after all that beautiful tree line and all the sparkle and shine, I must say I'm definitely loving this. And I love how the sentiment fits right on the edge of that panel. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching the video as much as I loved creating these cards. All the products that I used here are linked down in the description box below. All of these links are affiliate links, which means that when you shop using my links, I get a small percentage of that commission at no cost to you guys. Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you again in my next video where I'll be sharing some fun and colorful card projects. Until next time, stay safe.